Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
Hello, Into Tomorrow techies. Welcome back to your weekly ITTV update. I'm Chris Graveline, standing in for Dave, who's a bit under the weather this week. Don't forget that in addition to this weekly update, we also host a weekly radio program. We cover all things tech on about 200 stations across the country. Stations in Canada, the Caribbean, we're heard in New Zealand, and across the globe on the American Forces Network. If we're not on the air in your area, stop by our site at intotomorrow.com, where you can subscribe to our free podcasts, or listen to the show each week via our free apps, available for your iOS or Android devices and through the Intel App Up Center. If you want to participate on the program with any tech-related question, a tip, or to share some tech rage, call us anytime 24/7, 1-800-899-INTO. That's 1-800-899-4686. Of course, you can also participate on those free apps I mentioned. On this week's radio show, we caught up with an old friend from the Tiffen Company, Steve Tiffen himself. Dave chatted with him on ITTV a short time ago. In case you missed it, we thought we'd bring it back this week. So here's that segment on this week's sort of product spotlight rewind.
Taking Hollywood tech and putting it in the palm of your hand, our hand as consumers. Our guest is Steve Tiffen, the president and CEO of Tiffen. Steve, welcome back Into Tomorrow. How you doing?
Doing well, Dave. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, and glad to have you with us in our ITTV studios as well, so that we did a radio segment. If you missed that, be sure to check that out at intotomorrow.com. But this week we also wanted to be in our TV studio, where pretty much everything in this room is Tiffen, or from one of your Tiffen companies, from lighting to teleprompters to tripods to just all kinds of stuff, because you guys know what it takes to produce quality programs, video, film, all sorts of neat things.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of our vision as a company. When we help create the world's greatest images, we wanted to do that with every accessory that you need to wrap around the camera. So here in your studio, you have low lights, you have Davis and Sanford tripods, you have Listech teleprompters, some really innovative technology products, both in fluorescent lights, LED lights, some of the newest of the Listech products, and so on. So all this new technology that really can help any consumer make the world's greatest images. And so, I mean, the perfect example, the Listech teleprompter we now have with our PW4s. This is a small unit that will allow you to use your iPhone or your iPad as a teleprompter. And so if you're doing home broadcasts, if you're doing home podcasts, if you're doing stuff that you're posting on YouTube and you want it to sound professional, you want it to be scripted, you now have something that's under $300 that will allow you to go out there and use a professional teleprompting technology.
That's pretty cool, because a lot of folks are certainly into doing these webcasts now. And they've got great knowledge, but sometimes putting it in words and getting it out in a short period of time, because we all have attention deficit disorder, it seems. But you want to get that information out. It might as well be on a prompter, so that you can be like a professional news anchor who folks think, how can they memorize all that? They're not, they're reading it.
Absolutely, and it gives you the ability to really make a professional presentation, not do the ums and the ahs and the pauses that happen in so many of those situations. So it really is an exciting tool, and it's really what we try to do as a company for every one of our accessories, whether it be a low light, that we're using our new little blenders, are great little products for use in a variety of applications. The Steadicam Smoothie, the Steadicam handheld device that can be working with your iPhone, your GoPro. All of these are what we consider to be tools that from Hollywood that we can now put into the palm of your hand.
And you do a lot these days with LED, especially LED lighting, and the ability to literally pinpoint and focus lighting where it needs to be. And sometimes that changes on the fly, and you've got to have that ability. You've got some pretty cool products that address that.
So whether it be with motion imaging or it be with still imaging, today's cameras and technology, in still photography, electronic flash is really just not as necessary, and continuous light can be so much more creative, and there's so many more interesting things that you can do with it. And we've launched the GL1. The GL1 is a new handheld light with a very powerful LED, completely focusable, and puts an enormous amount of power in your hands. Great technology that's just coming out from our Lowell division.
And let's talk about the Lowell blender, which we have a couple just over our heads, as a matter of fact, that are backlighting, another important thing that some people don't think about, but that's how we have the little splash of light on our shoulders, and you can see us as a couple of guys standing here and not just fading into the background. But we're blending different kinds of lighting here to do a job.
Yeah, the blender basically gives you the ability to have color control. So in addition to lighting your scene, you also can now add cool or warmth depending upon whatever your desired look is and whatever your lighting situation is. One of the things we try to do is push consumers to go to Lowell.com, which is at Tiffen.com, basically our website, where we have the Lowell EDU section. The Lowell EDU section is a really important tool to help you learn how to light. It's one thing to have good lights, it's another thing to know really how to use them.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
whether it's a low light, which we prefer you to buy or not, at least go to Tiffen.com, click on Lowell, and go to Lowell EDU to learn how to light better.
And how clever that these guys, and you do this with all kinds of products and techniques, help us learn how to utilize these techniques. And like you say, it's great if it's your product, but in the long run, you just want folks to be able to do better images, shoot better video, have a good time with using these products.
We believe if people are educated and they understand what the quality products are and what they do and the benefits are, they'll eventually come to Tiffen products. So we're comfortable educating people, let them go out, try everybody's product out there on the market. We have a great section on that Lowell website, that Lowell EDU, called Been There, Lit That. This is a little story section where professional cinematographers, lighting directors will give you their personal experiences where they've been there and lit that. And they'll tell you exactly how they've accomplished those techniques.
Dynamite. So if you're just looking at it as a consumer and wanting to just do better things, whether it's your kid's birthday or the kid's soccer game or whatever, check it out. Or a pro that is saying, you know what, I need a refresher. I've not used LEDs yet. Are they different and how do they work? By all means, visit Tiffen.com, Tiffen.com. We'll have a link for you when you hit us up at IntoTomorrow.com. Keep helping us with all of our imaging, Steve, and thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having us.
It's time now to head into yesterday with This Week in Tech History and reminisce about some of the tech achievements of the past. This week in 1879, after 14 months of experimenting in Menlo Park, New Jersey, Thomas Edison succeeded in producing a working prototype of the electric incandescent lamp. It could burn for 13.5 hours. In 1955 this week, the microwave oven was introduced in Mansfield, Ohio, at the corporate headquarters of the Tiffen Company. The manufacturer slapped a $1,200 price tag on the appliance, which would ring in at over $10,000 today. This week in 1982, Epcot Center, or Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, was dedicated by Disney chairman E. Carden Walker at Walt Disney World in Florida. Epcot is dedicated to the celebration of human achievement, namely technological innovation. And this week in 1998, Microsoft and prosecutors for the U.S. Department of Justice and 20 states met in federal court. It was the beginning of the massive antitrust case against the Microsoft Corporation. That's our look back at This Week in Tech History, brought to you by IFA Berlin, the global innovation show for consumer electronics and home appliances. Get more info at ifa-berlin.com. If you've not gotten social with us lately, you should. We love it when our audience interacts with us. Check out our Facebook page at fb.com/intotomorrow. It only takes a second to hit that like button, then head over to our official Twitter feed, @ITRadioShow. You know, we often send out special prizes just for our social followers. Don't forget also about our free tech newsletter. Stop by our site at IntoTomorrow.com and enter your email address in the red box. Click the link in the confirmation email that you'll receive, and that's all there is to it. You'll then have Into Tomorrow in your inbox once a week. That'll do it for this episode of ITTV. I'm Chris Graveline. Until we see you again, check us out online at IntoTomorrow.com and on the radio.